Have you ever found yourself, stubbornly clinging to a belief even when new information starts poking holes in it?
Oh, definitely. Or maybe you've seen a group of smart people just double down on a really bad decision, despite all the warning signs.
It's surprisingly common, right? Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a really fascinating topic, human doubt avoidance.
Yeah, we're looking at this AI-driven scientific study. It explores why we humans seem so powerfully driven to seek certainty and, well, avoid ambiguity.
So our mission today is to pull out the most important insights from this analysis. We want to understand how this tendency works, where it even comes from.
How it shapes our society, and maybe most importantly, how we can cultivate a more, let's say, balanced relationship with uncertainty for a more resilient future.
Exactly. So what can you expect? We're going to unpack the cognitive stuff, the brain mechanisms behind it all,
Trace its evolutionary roots, look at the big societal impacts.
and then, crucially, explore some actual strategies for managing it in our own lives, in our communities.
Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to understanding a core operating principle of the human mind.
Okay, let's get into it.
So from an AI perspective, this whole doubt avoidance thing isn't just random behavior. It's seen as a fundamental system, cognitively speaking.
A system. How so?
Well, it's designed to minimize the mental effort we use, right? And maximize how stable we feel in a world that's inherently unpredictable.
So it's trying to make things feel simpler and safer than they maybe are.
Precisely. The study emphasizes that so many of our behaviors, our beliefs, even our societal structures are basically sophisticated attempts to just reduce uncertainty, keep that worldview stable.
That makes sense. It feels like our brains are constantly trying to build a predictable story. This research really highlights that need we have, that inherent need to find meaning in patterns.
They call it coherence in the study, that feeling that life makes sense.
When it gets disrupted.
That causes real psychological distress. It actually triggers this drive to reconstruct, meaning, put the pieces back together.
Ah, okay. And finding that coherence, making things make sense again. That feels good, presumably.
Exactly. It's rewarding. It reinforces the drive to seek certainty and actively push away uncertainty. It feels good to know.
Which brings us to a bit of a paradox, doesn't it? This drive was clearly good for survival back in the day.
Right. Think early humans needing to quickly figure out if that noise was a predator or just the wind.
But does an excessive need for certainty become, well, counterproductive in our complex modern world?
That's a key question the study tackles. And yes, an over-reliance on certainty can actually lead to more anxiety. And surprisingly, it can degrade our decision-making.
Really? How so?
We become less adept at navigating ambiguity. And life is full of ambiguity, right? So a mechanism that helped us survive immediate physical threats.
Can become a disadvantage when we're facing these big, abstract, long-term challenges, like climate change or social issues.
Exactly. It's this fundamental tension baked into how we think.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit more. Starting with the mind's internal architecture. Cognitive dissonance is the first big one. You've probably heard of it.
Yeah, that really uncomfortable mental state when your thoughts or beliefs or actions just don't line up.
Your brain just hates that inconsistency.
It really does. And it's strongly motivated to fix it, to resolve that tension.
How does it do that?
Well, we use different strategies, often without realizing it. We might change a conflicting belief or add new info to justify things.
Or just downplay the uncomfortable bits.
Right, or amplify the importance of the thoughts that do fit together. Think about a smoker. They know the risks, but they might rationalize, oh, I'll quit later, or it's just social.
Or they downplay the science.
Exactly. Or think about after you make a tough choice, say between two jobs, suddenly the job you chose seems way better, and the one you rejected looks less appealing.
Yeah, I've done that. It's your brain trying to make you feel better about the choice.
It is. And what's fascinating is brain scans actually show this happening. Specific areas light up. Regions involved in decision-making, reward processing, they track this discomfort.
So it's like an internal error signal.
That's a great way to put it. An error signal that demands resolution. Your brain is actively telling you something's off.
The key insight here, then, isn't just that it feels bad, but that the brain isn't necessarily seeking objective truth.
Not always. It's often actively rewriting reality to maintain that internal peace. It's kind of hardwired to prefer coherence over inconvenient facts.
It turns contradictions into these neural errors it just has to fix.
Which explains why facts sometimes just seem to bounce off deeply held beliefs. It's this intrinsic drive for cognitive harmony.
Okay, so this urge to resolve dissonance works closely with another big one, confirmation
Oh,
bias.
yes, confirmation bias. Our tendency to seek out, prefer, and interpret information that supports what we already believe.
And we ignore or dismiss the stuff that contradicts it.
Right. It's an unintentional shortcut, saves mental energy, but it's incredibly powerful in shaping how we see the world.
So if information fits my existing view,
You accept it easily, maybe overlook its flaws, remember it better, use it to back up your arguments.
but if it challenges my view,
You get defensive. You look for flaws, criticize the source, maybe forget it quickly. You see it everywhere.
like people only watching news channels that agree with them.
Exactly. Or a doctor may be zeroing in on symptoms that confirm their initial diagnosis, potentially missing other clues, or, climate change denial, things like that.
And the neural side of this is really interesting too, right?
Extremely. Brain activity in the prefrontal cortex, that thinking part of the brain, can actually decrease when you encounter contradictory info. It's like active suppression.
Wow. And you mentioned dopamine.
Yes. That feel-good chemical, it gets released when your beliefs are confirmed, which creates this rewarding, self-perpetuating cycle.
So it literally feels good to avoid doubt.
The neurochemistry suggests it's intrinsically pleasurable. Your brain gets a little reward for staying comfortable in its existing beliefs.
That's huge. It explains why biases are so persistent, even against strong evidence. Changing your mind means giving up that reward state.
Precisely. Which leads us right into motivated reasoning. Believing what we want to believe.
Where our underlying motivations, our desired goals, really influence how we form and evaluate beliefs.
Yeah, there are two forms. There's accuracy-oriented, which is more objective, seeks the right answer, takes more effort.
The cold reasoning.
Right. But then there's goal-oriented, or hot reasoning. That's driven by a specific conclusion you want to reach.
Usually to maintain your existing beliefs, protect your identity, or stick with your group's values.
Exactly. And this is where you get skewed narratives, like the smoker justifying their habit despite the risks.
Or during the pandemic, people resisting masks or vaccines and actively seeking out conspiracy theories that confirmed their stance instead of objective information.
That's a perfect example. Brain regions linked to value and reward show more activity when we accept messages we like and downplay ones we don't.
Our error detectors are working, but maybe in service of reaching that preferred conclusion.
Often, yes. The key takeaway is that these hot motivations are tied up with emotions, identity, social values.
So truth gets constructed to align with who we are or who we want to be, not just objective reality.
Which means just presenting facts isn't enough. You have to address the underlying emotional and identity drivers.
Makes sense. And the last piece of this cognitive puzzle is belief perseverance, just plain stubbornness.
Yeah. That's the tendency to cling to beliefs, even when you see clear contradictory evidence. Prioritizing your initial conclusion, resisting change.
Is this related to the backfire effect?
It can be. Sometimes presenting evidence against a belief actually makes someone hold on to it stronger. It triggers those defensive mechanisms.
Like that teacher the study mentioned, sticking to old homework methods despite new research.
Right, because that's how it's always been done. It's comfortable.
So basically, our cognitive system really dislikes software updates.
That's a good way to put it. Changing deeply installed beliefs takes effort, feels uncomfortable. That cognitive inertia, plus the dopamine reward for confirmation.
Makes direct challenges often useless, or even counterproductive. No wonder some beliefs seem bulletproof.
So moving from the how to the why, the evolutionary roots, doubt avoidance is deeply ingrained, right? Like an extension of fight or flight.
Makes sense. Early humans who were maybe overly cautious.
Investigating that rustle in the bushes, they were more likely to survive than the ones who just ignored it. Caution paid off.
And even today, routines, habits, they provide predictability. That feels good. Uncertainty creates this low-level anxiety.
Definitely. Choice is good. We like choice, but it also introduces uncertainty. What if I choose wrong?
So the trade-off is clear. This wiring, great for immediate physical survival back then.
Becomes a challenge in modern abstract situations. Applying it rigidly to complex issues like policy or climate change leads to cognitive stiffness, resistance to change.
We end up optimizing for the short-term feeling of safety over long-term adaptation.
And there are biological underpinnings, too. Genetics plays a role in our psychological traits, including how tolerant we are of uncertainty.
So some people might just be genetically predisposed to feel more uncomfortable with ambiguity, like a biological set point.
The research suggests that's part of the picture, yeah. We might even seek out environments that match our predispositions.
And then there's that deep human need for meaning, coherence, purpose, significance. The study sees these as sophisticated doubt avoidance strategies.
Absolutely. Coherence makes life feel understandable, less chaotic. Purpose gives direction, reduces the "what should I do" uncertainty.
And significance tackles that deeper doubt about whether life has value.
So our drive for meaning isn't just philosophical, it's a psychological imperative. Build a stable, predictable, valuable story for ourselves to avoid the discomfort of meaninglessness.
Okay, so these individual biases don't just stay in our heads, they scale up, right, into society.
They absolutely do. They merge into these powerful group dynamics. Think groupthink.
Where everyone wants to agree so badly that they ignore problems.
Exactly. Illusion of invulnerability, pressure to conform, self-censorship. It's linked to bad decisions historically, like the Challenger disaster or ignoring warnings before Pearl Harbor.
And then there's social conformity. Just going along with the group to be accepted.
Which can be good, like following traffic laws,
Yeah.
but it can also be terrible bullying, exclusion, even atrocities justified by just following orders.
We also see group polarization, where talking in a group makes everyone more extreme in their views.
Right, especially online. Those echo chambers you mentioned earlier. People get sorted into like-minded groups, and their views just get amplified, more rigid.
The scary thing is, these aren't separate issues. They link up.
They're interconnected mechanisms. They reinforce doubt avoidance at a group level, suppress dissent, amplify existing beliefs, shut out contradictory information.
Which leads to collective delusion,
Mhm.
reduced critical thinking.
And a profound resistance to reality that doesn't fit the group narrative. It has huge impacts on politics, social cohesion.
Another huge societal effect is tribalism, the us versus them thinking.
Deeply ingrained, prioritizing your group's identity and loyalty. Evolutionary roots probably in small groups needing to stick together for survival.
But it creates strong in-group identity, often leading to hostility towards outsiders.
And it's still incredibly powerful today, based on race, religion, politics, you name it. Some theories even suggest our brains aren't really built for huge populations, so we default to these tribal heuristic stereotypes.
Groups start seeing others as just the opposition. Their view is the only legitimate one.
The study uses the Rwandan genocide as a really chilling example of how this gets manipulated.
The Hutu-Tutsi opposition wasn't some ancient inevitability, right? It was constructed.
Exactly. Manipulated by colonial powers, then by Hutu leaders using propaganda, creating panic about an imaginary Tutsi threat to incite violence.
It shows that direct line from individual biases, the need for simple us versus them stories, to horrific, large-scale conflict. A deliberate exploitation of doubt avoidance.
Which brings us to how political actors actively use this stuff, framing information to fit existing beliefs, confirmation bias again.
Using things like anchoring, the bandwagon effect.
And FUD tactics, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Spreading misleading info about alternatives to make their preferred option seem like the only safe, certain choice.
The tobacco industry did that for years.
And misinformation, disinformation generally. They offer simple, clear narratives. Complex issues become black and white, in groups and out groups. It appeals directly to our aversion to uncertainty.
There's that weird paradox with fake news, too.
Right. It can trash trust in mainstream media, but for people whose side is in power, it can actually increase their confidence in political institutions.
Leading to this unrealistically rosy view of government, less accountability.
The bottom line is, the systematic weaponization of certainty hits us right where we live. That need for coherence, predictability, especially when times are tough or confusing.
And the result? Less critical thinking, more polarization, weaker democracy.
This avoidance of doubt also has innovation in science. Societies often resist new ideas, new tech.
From coffee centuries ago to GMOs today, these debates drag on, fueled by uncertainty and fear of loss.
Loss aversion is big here. Leaders might be too cautious with new tech, fearing losing the investment more than valuing the potential gain.
And then there's manufactured doubt.
Yeah, deliberately creating skepticism for non-scientific reasons, like financial gain, twisting genuine scientific inquiry.
History has examples, right? Like the resistance to the heliocentric model.
Galileo.
Absolutely. Healthy skepticism is vital for science, but our inherent doubt avoidance can harden into dogma, resisting new evidence. Progress needs intellectual humility, tolerance for uncertainty.
Finally, let's touch on the ethical and moral side. Moral conformity. Going along with the group's moral judgments to belong. Can be good for cohesion, but also suppresses dissent, enables bad behavior. Think Enron, or the bystander effect.
And cognitive dissonance plays a huge role in justifying terrible things.
Historically, yes. Rationalizations for slavery, genocide. Dehumanizing victims, creating laws to make abuse seem okay, allows perpetrators to still see themselves as good.
We still see those mental gymnastics today around things like racism.
Absolutely. And it even affects legal justice. Lawyers might unconsciously favor info supporting their case theory, overlooking contradictory evidence, undermining objectivity.
So the need for certainty creates a kind of moral hazard.
Exactly. When our actions clash with our self-image as good people, dissonance pushes us to reframe reality, invent new justifications, and that can get baked into laws and norms, leading to massive injustices.
Okay, so given all this, pretty sobering stuff, fostering a balanced relationship with uncertainty seems crucial.
It really does. For individuals, for society, we need to actively promote critical thinking, open-mindedness, especially through education.
Kids naturally tend to accept info, right? So they need to learn how to doubt critically.
Strategies include encouraging questions, modeling how to evaluate claims, sparking curiosity with ambiguity.
Bringing in diverse perspectives, critical writing assignments, collaboration.
And crucially, cultivating intellectual humility, being okay with saying, I don't know, listening to others, questioning your own positions. That opens up the universe of information, as the study puts it.
We also need to just get better at tolerating uncertainty itself.
Yeah, intolerance leads to worry, impulsive decisions. Mindfulness can help here. Staying present, accepting uncertainty as just part of life.
The growth mindset helps too, right? Seeing uncertainty not as a threat, but an opportunity to learn.
Exactly. It can even be a good stress, making the brain more receptive to new information, improving focus.
And for parents, it means dealing with your own feelings about uncertainty, validating your kids' worries without just dismissing them, modeling how to cope.
Then at the societal level, we need frameworks to manage misinformation and bias.
Like a public health approach, monitoring, debunking, but also media literacy, addressing root causes.
Yes, and providing balanced info, encouraging critical consumption of news. Ethical leadership is key too. Leaders aware of biases, fostering cultures where dissent is okay. Transparency counters that weaponization of certainty.
The study also mentions reconnecting with nature as an antidote.
It's an interesting point. Nature is uncertainty and change. Seasons, weather, ecosystems, they're dynamic, complex, probabilistic, not rigid and predictable.
Trying to impose absolute human control on nature, like with unsustainable farming, creates imbalance.
So learning from nature can help us appreciate diversity, change, interconnectedness, shift away from demanding absolute control, embrace the inherent uncertainty of life, understand that balance, dynamic equilibrium is the natural state.
Okay, one last complex point the study tackles. People who break rules regarding other cultures, even trying to eliminate them. Where does that come from?
Often it's extreme tribalism, motivated reasoning, confirmation bias cranked up to 11, a profound need for certainty in a simplified us versus them world. They might genuinely believe they're right because of those groupthink illusions of morality.
Ethically, though, actions aimed at eliminating cultures or promoting violence are just wrong. Full stop.
Unequivocally, society cannot tolerate that. But the study suggests the response needs to be nuanced, a balance of firmness and understanding the psychological drivers.
So firmness against harm laws, justice, protecting people.
Absolutely. But also patience and tolerance for dissent within ethical limits. Encourage questioning assumptions, challenging norms, but respectfully. Distinguish legitimate doubt from harmful denialism.
And for extreme cases, intervention, re-education.
Yeah, using things like cognitive behavioral therapy to challenge distorted thoughts, promoting empathy, perspective-taking to break down us versus them, building uncertainty tolerance, countering misinformation, community engagement, maybe involving former extremists.
So it's multifaceted. Uphold justice, protect people, and invest in psychological and educational strategies.
Exactly. Promote critical thinking, empathy, healthy uncertainty tolerance. The goal is reintegration into a shared reality, moving away from those dangerous, self-reinforcing illusions of certainty.
Wow. Okay. We've seen just how deep this doubt avoidance runs in our own minds and our societies, from biases to conflicts.
But we've also seen there are ways forward, actionable ways to build a healthier relationship with uncertainty. The challenge now is putting these insights into practice.
Right. So our final thought for you, the listener. If our brains are biologically rewarded for avoiding doubt, for clinging to certainty,
What personal error signals, those little pings of cognitive dissonance, might you need to pay more attention to today? In your own beliefs, your daily decisions, to really adapt and flourish in this constantly changing world.
This is DigitView.